What character had the best character arc? Sander the Hound Clegane has had one wild ride of character development, more so in the show than in the books. Can't wait for the inevitable Clegane Bowl in SE8 that I'm sure will be oh so satisfying. Zuko. Hands down. Zuko. Michael Corleone. By the end of Godfather 2, he's become even more ruthless than his father. Javert Les Miserables. I always appreciate a villain who genuinely believes he's doing the right thing. It's human. Vegeta. Going from planet-destroying monster to prideful renegade for life. A little Majin-related relapse. And now as a super family man who will go Super Saiyan and attack gods when they threaten his family. It might be more of a function of better writing and Hemsworth's improvement as an actor. But Thor did a lot of growing throughout the course of the MCU. And I really like the place that he's arrived at as a character. He really earned that badass entrance in IW. Peggy Olson. With the kicker being the whole series really ended up being about her in a way. While you are mesmerized by Don Draper's insanely powerful charms that only seem to serve his self-destructive cycles, leaving him again and again broken and in the same place, Peggy is slowly starting to chew the scenery and become one of the most convincingly transformed, fully fleshed out characters in a series. Her badass saunter into her new office at the end, sunglasses, cigarette, Japanese erotic office wall art under her arm for all to see, is Peggy in her final form. One so inevitable if you have watched the whole show, but unimaginable if you only knew her as the character in the beginning. Probably the Elric brothers from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Their arcs are so intertwined and so amazing at the same time. Andrew Ender Wiggin. We get to see most of his life played out over several books as he lives hundreds of years and travels the galaxy. He starts as a scared but vicious boy and becomes a man tying several alien races together for peace. Sawyer from Lost started off as a cliché, hard-ass only in it for himself character whose motivations were written all over his face. Over the course of the show, he became one of the deepest and richest characters in all of television history. He experienced more growth as a person than almost any other character I can ever remember. We've seen him as a frightened child, to the extremely selfish and isolate loner, to the con man, to the frequently reluctant leader of the survivors, to a person in a position of authority who has the unbinding trust and love from everyone who knew him. Fives from Clone Wars. From a normal soldier to one of the most important clones in the complete Star Wars story, he could have saved the galaxy. Eleanor on The Good Place. Rosa Diaz from Brooklyn 99. She started out as an emotionally closed-off hardass. Then you find out she's a bisexual Catholic school ballerina who volunteers to mentor high school kids and keeps a vase of lemons in her house to add a pop of color. Miles Morales from Spider-Verse. Everything he learns in the film comes around in the end. Not to mention the "What's Up Danger" scene. I don't know if it's the best, but the one Louise goes through in the movie Arrival is one of my personal favorites. In the beginning she's a linguist without much purpose, and by the end her point of view and agency in her life has completely changed. It's such a brilliant and beautifully written movie. So, Hannah, this is where your story begins. The day they departed. Despite knowing the journey and where it leads, I embrace it, and I welcome every moment of it. April Ludgate is gold. She starts as an apathetic intern and ends up caring about her co-workers and her job. Love watching her arc on that show. Every time she shows emotion and affection it just warms my heart. Donna Noble on Doctor Who. Just her self-loathing and feeling useless, to being the most important person, and the tragedy of living the rest of her life not knowing. Fitz from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. His arc in the first 5 seasons was just stellar. If you haven't seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., check it out. Michael Scott. He is a completely awful person in the first series but eventually becomes lovable. Grant Ward from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think Brett Dalton really did justice to that role, whether it be when he was revealed to be a Hydra double agent in Season 1, or the Framework arcade in Season 4, which, in my opinion, are the best 6 to 7 episodes Oz has ever done, where he was the S.H.I.E.L.D. double agent. The nature vs nurture debate about the character was amazing. Kevin Chapman as Detective Lionel Fusco on Person of Interest. From foul corrupt police detective to be willing to sacrifice his life for the greater good. Jon Snow. From the unloved bastard of Winterfell, to hated low-class Night's Watch, to even more despised wildling sympathizer, to hated Lord Commander, to in every way except in name King Beyond the Wall, to respected and loved King in the North, and rightful heir to the Iron Throne. God, I ducking love this show. Adventure Time has so many different characters who go through so many different arcs. The most dramatic being Finns, who goes from having a very black and white view of the world in the first few seasons and eventually learns that not everything is absolutely good or absolutely evil, but shades of grey. Then there's Susan Strong, who reconciles her relationship with her friend Frida, which goes from seeing her in a toy shop and remarking that she feels like she's not allowed in Frida's life anymore to them going on and seeing the world together. Or when Jake's outward appearance seems to permanently change to this blue monster thing, but then coming to terms with who he is by taking in his brother's abstract paintings. But I think my absolute favorite arc is the one Marceline goes through in Stakes. Sick of being a vampire, she asks Princess Bubblegum to cure her of vampirism. The problem is that all of the vampires Marceline killed in the past come back to life because they were the essence of her vampirism. So after killing all the vampires, having a conversation with the Vampire King about how history is like a wheel and all events seem to lead the same spot, and Marceline becoming a vampire again, she almost feels like her whole experience was for nothing. Then she reflects on her mother's lullaby that she used to sing to her when she was a little girl, which was played throughout the special, and finally realizes the meaning and that even though her and her friends seem to be right back where they started, they are still changed by the experience. Meruem in Hunter x Hunter. I don't want to spoil anything if you haven't seen it, but he goes from one of the most detestable characters to my personal favorite. Also, the end of his character arc is one of the few fictional moments that has actually made me cry. Reiner Braun from Attack on Titan. I won't spoil the manga, but the things you learn about him are unreal. Chiz. From the Ancient Magus Bride. She went from being severely depressed, not caring about herself, and sacrificing her safety many times to eventually being happy she didn't commit suicide and living a good life. I'm going to mention some off the top of my head. Jaime Lannister from GOT, Kratos in Latest Gal, Steve in Stranger Things, Sawyer from Lost, Ragnar in Vikings, Itaki, Jiraiya and Nagato in Naruto, Anakin/Darth Vader in Star Wars. Too many to count. Naruto, the viewer grew up with him as a 6 or 7 year all the way through adulthood, and his characters comes full circle and the viewer has a sense of pride and hope while watching the character grow. Never has a character in a series made me cry proud tears for how much that character has come. The feels in that series are insane. Captain America in the MCU. Fighting for his country to becoming a vigilante-esque hero due to the government's actions. Fantastic. Control F. Neville Longbottom. Nothing funny. I thought he'd be mentioned by now. From shy no self-esteem weakling to Horcrux killing GQ cover boy.